our fans, our adoring fans.
All right, we are live.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Corporation of the Township of Bonashir Valley. This is our committee meeting on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. It is 1:35 p.m. We apologize for anybody that's tuning in. We're just running a little bit late today. It is the end of the school year, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda this afternoon? I see none. We do have two items that our CAO sent out. One is regarding the painting of our water system, and the other is the email from Laurel Cook about painting the township door. So we will add those to, I think we'll add them to new and unfinished instead of correspondence. Is there, oh, could I have confirmation of the agenda, please? Moved by Tracy, all in favor? Wonderful. Is there any pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? I see none. Could I have an approval of the minutes of our meeting on December 5th, please? Moved by John. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Wonderful, and those are passed. John, do you want to fix your chair? You looked a bit perplexed.
You wore
there.
that much off your legs chasing the
Yeah,
dog?
no, you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You looked a bit confused when you sat down. We have no delegations this afternoon. Is Kevin in the building?
Yes.
He is just outside somewhere, so.
Kevin,
Speaking of.
there you
which,
are. Kevin, that is your gift from council.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. There are all sorts of local goodies inside. Of course you can. The ladies have all opened theirs, but we got you more manly ones. John has not seen them, so
Oh, yeah, okay.
the soap's in the pocket because there's a lot of chocolate in there.
Did you get a photo?
Very nice.
Oh, I like the little Santa song.
Very good.
They're soft, yeah.
Very seasonal.
Very sweet.
Oh, you
Oh.
got a pickle.
No, his is
Want
the
a pickle?
Grinch.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice. Thank you.
Okay.
There's milk chocolate, there's white chocolate, there's dark chocolate, there's all the
All the
chocolates.
chocolates. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. Enjoy. That's from all of us. Go ahead with your report, please.
Yes.
So you didn't want the lawsuit of you waxing the floor? Totally my fault.
Oh, my God.
I'm fine. Look. I'm absolutely fine.
It was a beautiful spin of the landing.
Actually, it was Annette pushed me down.
So,
It's fine. It's just a sprain.
just a spring.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
Yeah. Everyone said if I had been drunk, at least I would have bounced.
Likely.
Anyways, yeah, well,
It was a great party.
yes, it was very,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah. Anyways, my report is, very straightforward. You see what the events is going on. Parents, and Taunton Senior Skate, 20 is kind of the magic number, some up and down, and so it's well attended.
I'm so happy that that's a successful thing, like, just because it was a tri-season.
That's right,
Right?
that's right, yeah. And it took 2 years, like last year it was, and this year is better.
Good.
The numbers are there, so. And then if the weather stays the way it is, our numbers could go up too, because, there'd be no ponds freezing over.
No, well, and when I was reading this report, and in it, you talk about having the outdoor rink open. And when I read it, it was freezing cold.
Yeah.
And now today it's 7 degrees, so
Yeah, it's
it's a tough one.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, and tomorrow we have a girls' hockey tournament, starting at, 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's a full day of, girls' hockey.
Nice.
Public skating numbers right around 50, give or take. So that's well attended, and it's been a great year this year. Sponsorship has been fabulous. Like we're full. Like every the public skating is completely full. The senior mom and tot, we have only a couple left, but it'll be filled up, no problem at all. So it's
You know, Murphy's Auto didn't sponsor this year, nor did I. So I'm putting those monies from this year into our rubber ducky race coming in the
okay.
summer. So I'm gonna sponsor some of the ducks. But always feel that you can ask me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the thing, like we have a waiting list because people were filled up, so we just put them on the list, and next year we'll reach out to those people and just,
That is
That's
incredible,
astounding.
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're doing our 2025 priorities later, or like things that we'd like to see or that we said during the election cycle. And one of Brent's, and I thought this would, he forwarded me his list because he couldn't be here today. But one of his lists, on his list was the planter boxes being sponsored, which I thought was interesting. So, I mean, if you've got people that are reaching out like that, talk about the generosity of our community.
Would they have names on them? Is that the idea?
I don't know what his
Yeah, 'cause
idea,
that
it
would
was
make a
just, it was
difference.
one of the things that he had mentioned. And I mean, it's no different than sponsor, like putting your sign up at the arena or whatever, but I think there's always
Yeah.
room for people to add to the enjoyment of the community. That's fantastic, Cal. Thank you.
It's great. Adam Bernard's running a little hockey program before school starts. He's got 7 Fridays booked in the morning. It's at 7:30, and the kids come there early, and then they go up to school with. So Adam's just trying it out, and I sent a picture there.
Yeah.
Like, there's 18 to 20 kids, so good for mom and dad to be there, and like they got to get to the rink. So, anyways, that's a good little program for Adam will be running.
Let them burn up some energy before class.
That's
That's
right.
that's right.
Probably good for parents to get to work too. I imagine they can just
Sure.
head on over to school.
But I just imagine these little ones at school, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the EHL, going right through Christmas, so, Friday nights, just the way the Christmas falls, so that hasn't hindered their program at all, their schedule. And the craft show on this past Sunday was a real good turnout.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, real good turnout.
I couldn't get there.
They had about 25 tables, so, it was well attended. And for the village, the flags, the banners were all taken down, and the Christmas scenes were put up, and the Christmas tree lighting, everybody was pretty well there, it's here, so it was,
It was very nice.
yeah, it was a good evening. Good
And the
evening.
tree is now taller than me. And there's photo evidence.
Yeah.
No, Kevin, everybody appreciates that evening so much, and it's so amazing when the bridge gets lit up. I think I'm really excited about the parade being at night this Friday, because it's so bloody pretty driving through with those
Yeah.
lights on.
So anyways, that's pretty much on my report. Does council have any questions or any?
No,
No.
I too was sluggish and missed my chance to sponsor this year, so I'll have to take my check and put it with Jennifer's.
Yeah, for sure.
We're getting
Like,
into another event.
No.
That's the kind of town we live in.
No, it's been like, I think we have 5 names that are on the list that are down below for next year, so I'll reach out to them right off the start and they can fill that void in and.
The giving this year it's inspiring.
Yeah, no, it's.
To our food bank, to the clothing bank, to just people adopting families. It's really incredible.
Anyways.
Thank
very
you,
much.
Kevin.
I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you, Cass.
see
The
you
best.
throughout the holidays, probably. Thank you.
You won't see me. I'm going into hibernation.
Anyways, thanks very much for the.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We should have gotten a picture of the two of us shopping for all that stuff in our hats, because we did look pretty funny.
We could have made a cute little video.
Yeah. Sandra, you're on the hot seat. Can I say something before you start? So we budget and we do the best we can, right? I don't think I've ever seen a budget to actual that close at this time of year.
Do you think so?
Like it's, like there are so many line items that it's like, wow, you guys really hold the purse strings.
Yeah.
So congrats to all of you, like it's. Cause. I mean, sometimes it feels like an impossible budget, so good on all of you. It is because we don't buy pens though,
Just read one.
just red ones. Sorry, you go ahead.
Okay, so the December 10th budget report, with actuals and budget is in your package along with the balance sheet as of November the 30th. Did anybody have any specific questions or? Okay,
I just couldn't believe it.
so we had I processed a bill of tax write-offs, just over $1,700. Had the final supplemental billing of 2024 for $13,788.67. So this year I did something a little different. I made, because I had done them up 2 days before the mail strike. So I extended the deadline to the end of just January, because they've just gone in the mail today.
Okay,
So
did they even accept them at the post office?
they did.
They did,
They did take
okay,
our mail today. We called and asked.
okay, cause some post offices apparently are not taking mail until
Thursday,
Yeah,
yes. I think the bigger cities maybe,
Maybe,
but yeah, they did take it. Maybe after we were there though, they were like, no one else.
exactly.
Cause we had a lot.
Well, and they did say not to mail packages at all,
Well, that would make sense.
and that makes, yeah.
Just over $56,000 in water and sewer arrears were transferred over to the property tax accounts. As per authorization under the municipal act. We've received a $63,000 payment from the Canadian,
Community Building Fund.
thank you. For 2024, and there was a little bit of a surplus payment in there that our bonus at the end of the year of $1,800, so that was nice.
Nice.
We received our sixth and final installment of the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund for the year. And I processed the final volunteer firefighter payroll for just over 31,000.
How was your drive to your clerks and treasurers meeting in McNabb Rayside?
Terrible.
So I thought you guys were going to county. It wasn't until later on, and Ned said, no, we went to McNabb Rayside. I said, I didn't even think 17 was open,
Yeah,
because it sounded like outside of Cobden, it was slip sliding away.
okay. Yeah, it was a blowy drive. for sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm glad you guys are safe, and it sounded like it was a good meeting.
it was a good meeting.
Excellent. Annette, oh, sorry, did you guys have anything else for Sandra?
All good, thank you.
Yeah,
And wishing you all a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Oh,
well, you're not leaving.
No.
I'm not sure people realize you hide over there in the corner. All right, Annette, take it away.
Okay, so in my report, you can see there's a lot about elections and alternative voting, so I'll get to that in just 1 second. We have started up the elections group for Renfrew County, and also I was sitting on the Inspiring Women's Forum Focus Group that we're working for the spring, and also the FCM Electrification Energy Management. So that's a new focus group that FCM's put together, so I attended my first one there. And continuing to meet with Whitewater and North Dakota Wilberforce on our EV chargers, vehicles and on-demand program. So hopefully we'll have our intermunicipal agreement come back in for the January meeting. I think we've met, we've done our review, and I think we're comfortable with where we're at there. Sarah just applied today for the Ontario Rural Transit Grant to cover our municipal portion. So we'll see if that comes through, and then we won't have, it'll be federal and provincial dollars as opposed to.
You didn't actually tell him he had to be here, did you?
No, yeah, he actually decided to be here, so it was good, yeah.
Can we move him up?
You can, if you want to go ahead now, I can come back to mine, whatever works.
Yeah, just, 'cause there's no point in keeping him. So, Daryl, like, I made a huge mistake yesterday, replying all of an email that Annette sent out, but in looking at this, number one, you budgeted 140,000.
Yes.
We don't pay 13% HST, we only pay 1.76. So some, about 2,800 of that will be gone, but the rest we get, not from them, obviously, when we file. So I see, and they're 12 grand in contingency. And if you're comfortable reducing the amount of hydrants, I think you've got this paid for.
Yeah, I think we can handle it.
I think the sticker shock was real,
Right.
but when I thought it out. And in my brain, I had 120,000 and I thought, no, it was 140 because I remember thinking, oh boy.
Yeah.
But I will let everybody else did everybody understand the HST thing?
I wouldn't have picked it up, but thank you. Yeah,
Okay, so we only pay 1.76% in HST, not 13%. But we don't get the holiday. So
But you get charged to 13, but you get.
we get it back.
You get 11 back.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So, yeah. Any issues with this? I mean, we know that it has to be done. This is a good time to get it done. I think it's a miracle you found somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And in finding, money in the couch cushions, I think that you should get it done because we're not doing it.
No.
I don't care how little Lynette is, you can't send her in.
No.
But did anybody, we heard the problem, we saw the photos,
It's just that sticker shock, like you said.
it was the sticker shock. It really, when I opened this, I was like,
Holy smokes.
whoa. Then I had, instead of going splunking, then I was like, but we did budget this, right, Annette? But knowing also the HST and contingency.
That's right. And I mean, the 7,100 could turn into 2,100. Who knows?
Right,
That's a real, but it also could turn into 15.
I get it,
Instead of 7.
I get it. Look, I think it's gotta be done.
Right.
Another good reason on my priority list to continue advocating for your department.
Yeah. So,
So absolutely necessary. And the only guarantee in life is that if you leave it for a year, it'll be more expensive yet.
yeah, it's gonna deteriorate day after day, more or less.
Good job.
And looks like a very, very messy, awful job to have to do.
Yes.
So. All right, well, it is more than my first home, but go ahead, I think we go ahead.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Daryl.
Okay.
Have a good Christmas.
Yeah, you too.
Merry Christmas, Daryl.
Very good.
Are you gonna stay at the hunt camp?
Yeah, chill for another couple more weeks.
Is there anything you need?
No, not really. Warm weather.
Wouldn't it though?
Yes.
Or make it hunting
It's pretty
season.
warm there, but
There should be fresh venison available now.
there is, yeah.
Take care and
All right.
all our best to
All
Bonnie.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Daryl. All right, back over to you, Annette.
Okay, so, I will also be joining a panel discussion on navigating the future of municipal waste management at the Roma conference. So that does mean that I get a discount, get a free day, so
Your panel isn't as much fun as my panel.
that's probably true.
I'm doing mental health and addictions.
Okay. Well, telling you,
That
recycling
should be
waste
an
management,
interesting one.
we're gonna make it fun.
Like asset management.
Well, I'm gonna stick up for Annette here and say that waste management is probably as important as health. It's just, because they're linked anyway.
Well, yeah, I think every panel we can sit on is
Mm.
amazing for Bonashir Valley,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
People know who we are because we've been on things.
So continuing to work with Algonquin College, so I did do a presentation at the Renfrew County Clerks and Treasurers Association. And Algonquin College is taking my proposal to their board in January. So if that goes through, then we'll have some municipal training going forward and hopefully some summer students across the county and maybe some future municipal workers. So
Sorry, Nat, this is opening the door to having, what I'd call interns come and
Yes,
train
yes.
in the municipal, wow, that's
sort of like
wonderful.
that, yeah, like it's a summer student job, so you come work depending on what your field of interest is, if it's environmental, if it's public works, if it's finance and admin, PSWs, all of those things. And then we will provide some municipal training and education, and Algonquin College is offered to, again, it has to go to their board, so it's not approved. But they would then receive that as an elective credit, so that these students that are going to school would also have like, so one credit, paid for by the municipality, taught by local CAOs and representatives. And so, a networking, learning from people on the job and having summer employment and getting a credit, so I'm hoping that will promote municipal government to stay here, and Pembroke's very interested because they always want their students to stay here because they come here, they go, so they're gone. So this is our way of working with them to get them to stay here. And if it's a successful program, then now Perth campus has asked if they could come on board next year. So I'll have to work with my colleagues in that area and see if I can get the program going there as well. So, yeah.
I think it's great.
When
I
we,
think co-op of any sort is great,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
when we invite medical students to come from Ottawa and they just expose to things in the hospital, and they come for a week in the country, we call it. And,
Okay.
and we put a barbecue together, things like that. So maybe we could go with, even if there were find out all the people who are gonna come and visit our county and our neighbors county, municipalities. And maybe arrange, a little bit of social activity too,
For sure.
because some of them are new to the area. So that's how we'll recruit them.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
We did that when I was the warden. I went to a doctor recruitment dinner.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Debbie Robinson did.
She was very big on that, and dinner's a loose term, it was really hot dogs and hamburgers.
Yeah.
We did a lot of way back with Deb Robinson and whatnot.
Yeah, she was
She
amazing.
was
at
great,
it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Is great.
She is great. I just saw her last week.
So I will be working too on our privacy commissioner report, which will be due in the new year. We only received one freedom of information request, which came in February. And the record was sent to the requester within the 30 days. And there were a few things redacted, personal information of the individual, name, their phone number and their date of birth. So they did appeal it to the privacy commissioner, and I've been working on that, resolving that appeal ever since. So maybe it will be resolved by this February, but that'll be an outstanding that I'll have to report to the privacy commissioner for this year. Okay, the big part of my report really is all about alternative voting. So I'm going to assume that everyone's sort of read through this, but there really is three main voting methods, and there's others, and there's all kinds of things that you can mix and match with. But the three probably most popular across the province are, paper ballots with tabulators, internet voting, and vote by mail. And in the past, Montreal Valley has done vote by mail, and then we do paper ballots on the day of. And we've used local individuals to do the counting, so they receive a salary and they do the counting. The tabulators will increase our costing quite significantly. I understand, they're faster, right? You're feeding them in, you're getting the count a little bit faster than people filling out the paperwork. Are they more accurate? I've been through 4 elections, 2 recounts, and both of the recounts, one in Admaston Brumley and one here, the accuracy, I didn't have an issue with the accuracy of any of my poll clerks. There were a couple ballots that I disagreed, and that was simply because you could have a ballot where somebody put check marks against some people and X's against other people, and I don't know what that means. Now my poll clerk chose to count the checks and not count the X's, and that is their call. They're welcome to come and speak to me. I can overrule them on the night of, or I can overrule them in a recount, which I did overrule in the recount. But as far as an accuracy, I really haven't run into our poll clerks being completely inaccurate. I think there was one in the recount that we had some names that were very similar, so there was one, but neither of them changed the the results of the election. Neither of them changed the vote by a massive amount, whether it was
Right.
7 ballots or 5 ballots, it didn't actually change anything. So, I haven't seen the argument for the accuracy. Now, I do know, our recount cost, a day's wages. I was in here for a full day. It takes a long time to do the recount when it's manual. I always believe to have a solicitor on here because, I'm now reviewing their work, making the call, and I want somebody available to review my work in the room so that if, they're there with the Municipal Act and the Municipal Elections Act. So if there was a question from any candidates or scrutineers, you've got somebody, like, if you disagree with what just went happen, you have a third party to go to, and which costs about $1,000 to have a lawyer sit in the room for the day. Again, this was on Zoom, so that makes things cheaper, probably more if we had her sitting in the room. So, not extremely expensive, did take a full day. I, obviously paid the poll clerks to come in one at a time as well. But again, we were still under $5,000 in wages for the recount and the election, and the tabulators are probably about $15,000.
That was gonna be my question.
And then normally people say, well, you don't just get one tabulator, you get one extra, but in Renfrew County, we work very well together, and generally what they do is they do an RFP, everybody together, everybody gets the tabulators, and they usually have an extra. Now, when I was talking to the group the other day, I think each of them had an extra. So because technology doesn't always work, and so that's something you could, now, they did always work, no one ever had to use the extra, but just that is another thing. So it would be a faster count. Some people say it would be a more accurate count. And if there was a recount, you literally just push the button on the machine. So there wouldn't be that. So those are the benefits to a tabulator. If that's something that council is interested in, we don't have to have the bylaw passed until May. But I'd like to know now, because if we're gonna get into it, I'd like to join the others. They want to send out an RFP in January. So I would like to get on board with other municipalities in Renfrew County.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Cause I've got money ones. Go ahead, John.
So these same processes are followed. We're talking about municipal election, because that's your job, you're a bailiwick. And when we run a federal election or a provincial election, we don't get a say in these questions.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. And generally, the province does use tabulators. They have tabulators and I don't think federal or provincial have done internet voting as of yet. I don't know I don't think there's any appetite to do it going forward. I think there's still a lot of scrutiny over, what can happen online. But we could do internet voting. There was a cost to that as well. But obviously at that point, then we wouldn't need the tabulators because the internet voting calculates online. But you still have the cost of mail.
Yeah.
Because
You still need both,
I
right?
still have to send, well, we don't have to do vote by mail. We could say, we're just going to do, like, we could get completely out of it, which some municipalities around the county are looking at. I don't know that anyone's passed it yet, but you could say, we're only doing internet voting. That's it, that's all. And then what would happen is we
No.
mail it out, but you could come in, like, just because we're just doing internet voting, we could have something set up in the township office. As they did in other municipalities, where the person could come in and there's a laptop in it. So if you don't have internet and you don't have a laptop, you can come in. We'd have one available to you. Obviously, we cannot assist you behind this, like we can assist you with your passport or that kind of part, but then we have to walk away when you're doing the vote. No one can be there unless you need someone to help you, which is allowed. You can sign those forms similar to paper ballots. Sometimes people need some assistance.
Okay, let's not
okay.
muddy the waters.
Okay,
I loved your recommendation. People are used to vote by mail or in person.
yeah. So vote by mail helps
Okay.
our seasonal voters. It helps people that aren't going to be around at the time. We don't need an advance vote Because the advance vote is 2 full weeks before the election where you can, not before the election, because they have to be in by a certain, let's say October 16th.
Right,
If the voting day is no October 27th, you don't get it in the mail by the 16th. I can't guarantee you because I don't know what's gonna happen, right? So, but you'll have it a month ahead of time. You have a couple weeks to get it in the mail and get it back to us, or you can drop it off at the office. And then if you want to still have, we don't have to, we could do just vote by mail unless you want to still have a polling station on the day of. So
I think it's
that's the other-
important, because some people like to vote in person,
Agreed.
right? Like during the provincial and the federal, I like to, Dave and I go to St. Anne's in Cormac and we do our vote together. It's tradition. I think that I don't know, there's a cachet to it, and I think that not everybody likes voting by mail.
So last year, we just had the one voting location.
Yeah.
With the 4 polls, because and at this, because the problem is you have to split it up, whether you split it up alphabetical or I split it up the same, because this was a brand new vote at large and everyone was used to the wards. So I split it up similar to that last year, but I'll be honest with you, I feel like this year, I probably would recommend just doing it alphabetical. Because I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were sending people to wards and I just think that just added an extra layer of stuff. So I think I would just then split up, if your last name, is an L, you're gonna go to the, whatever that letter is, as opposed to splitting it up by
Especially
by roll
for
number,
new,
because that was.
for new people that don't know
I
what
think
ward they
so.
would be in.
Yeah, so I think I would switch that up this year, but other than that.
Go ahead, John.
Just have one other question.
Mhm.
In sending out the mailing costs,
Mhm.
are you allowed to bundle so you can send 4 votes to a household where you know there's 4 voters, or
No,
you have to go to each individual voter? So
Yeah,
it's
I
actually more expensive than the tax mailing.
Yes, correct, it
Okay,
is.
fair enough.
because in that envelope, of course, is your
Everything.
your secret
Yeah.
ballot envelope and the other envelope, which I have screwed up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tracy.
So what would the cost be to do internet voting and mail? Is that outrageous?
Yes, that would probably be about 5 times the cost that it is now, because we have to do the internet voting. I have to mail you out, the packages are twice the size.
So there is still
Um,
mailing involved.
Oh, yes, because
You
you're
have to get your
internet
ballot.
voting, so you're still getting your ballot, you're still
You're not getting it
your
by email. I'm assuming internet, you're going
No,
with,
Maybe
This is-
maybe not that much, I'm sorry. I guess I'm thinking in my brain, I'm still thinking tabulator. So no, it wouldn't be quite that much. So the internet voting itself,
is there a link on your website, link on,
No, no.
Leader? That's what,
Everything
just
has
one
to-
clarification on
Yes.
internet voting.
Yeah,
everything
no.
has to come through the mail. So if we
Okay,
did,
so you're still
if we
mailing,
did vote by mail and vote and internet voting, everything's still coming through the mail.
okay.
But it's gonna be a bit of maybe a slightly bigger package, but maybe it wouldn't cost that much more in weight, because you're really just getting the extra card. Like the vote by mail is the
Is
vote
that
by
the
mail is a
cost?
lot of paperwork, right? Because you've got your envelope, you've got your inside envelope, you've got your ballot that you have to vote, that you have to seal in the envelope, then you've got the other
Yes.
outside envelope, then you've
Yes.
got the swearing documentation to say that this is my ballot in my envelope. So it's quite a
So
lot.
it's not paperless, this internet
Oh,
voting?
no.
But I would, so people
No.
would perceive it as being paperless.
But the internet voting would be less paper than the vote by mail
Okay,
voting,
that's
because
good
the
to know.
internet voting would just be a letter with a card with your code, and you would have to, you'd have to enter your birth date and all that information about you to make your code work. But you wouldn't have to sign that document back. We wouldn't have the return envelope. So yes, there would be some savings to internet voting if we didn't do vote by mail, but if we're doing both,
It's just not there yet digitally.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tech is not
It's
there
like
yet.
EVs. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah,
Even if our internet in Bonachir Valley was perfect, everybody had a computer, everybody was adept.
the
at
technology and the
technology.
strategy isn't there. So it sounds like.
Right,
Yes.
right.
but I
Okay,
would
so-
say like internet voting, if we had a laptop here and somebody who could assist you, the good thing with internet voting is it's in there and it's done.
Yeah.
So that when the poll, and you could
It's
still.
not
go
a
to the
cost
poll.
saver to the taxpayer at the end of the day.
It's a small cost saver. It's very tiny. Yes, there would be some because you wouldn't need all the vote by mail packages.
You'd probably get greater numbers
Yeah.
if you could have, if you'd get more people
So-
voting.
Now, do you send everybody? like, you've gotta send everybody in the township, you can't pull them, like,
No,
Merv
be nice
wants.
if you could, but you
Merv
can't.
wants to come in to vote,
Mhm.
John wants to vote by mail, you still have to send all
We're
of
not
it
a
to
multi-channel
everybody.
retailer here.
That's right, so
Yeah.
you still have to send all the stuff.
Well, like, if we were doing both, yes, if we were just doing internet voting and paper ballot on the day of, that saves some counting and it saves some mail, some postage.
Which takes me
Um,
back to what I said before, if we're going with the easiest options for the people that know how to do it, mail it in person are the ways to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just wondering what the cost savings and it would be, but it still sounds a little archaic in
Merv,
terms of
and
process.
we still use an overhead projector.
And it
And
doesn't,
Sandra takes pride in it, right, Sandra?
it doesn't increase voter turnout. That has proven to
Okay.
be false.
That's
But
good.
I don't know how many
Good point. That's-
municipalities have gone to internet voting and used that selling feature to.
But it's not
push
an
it.
at ease, it's
It
not a
has
simple
not.
process, it doesn't sound like it's
But
there.
that's so interesting,
Yeah.
that it
That's-
doesn't
that's-
Yeah, it
increase.
is.
That's at our meeting, at our elections meeting across Renfrew County, that is the discussion we had. And there were a lot of municipalities that said, that's what we pitched to this council, this was gonna increase voter turnout. But it didn't in 2018, and it didn't in 2022, so that's 2 elections. Both with internet voting across Renfrew County, those that made the switch did not see an increase in voter turnout. So why? I don't know.
I just assumed that it would.
Yeah, most people did. That
But the
was pitch.
technology may not be there yet, that's what I'm saying, it may not
Yeah.
be that user friendly
I vote
and
online.
intuitive,
I don't find it, like, I get the card in the mail and I punch it and I vote it. So you're gonna save a bit on postage, you're gonna save a bit on counting time and those wages.
But then we're taking away the mail-in.
Well, yes, if you're going to do the vote by mail and the internet, I
And
don't
you
know.
still have to send people a ballot if they wanna vote in person.
We don't have to send them a ballot, they could come in person. We could have the ballots on,
Oh.
and then we don't have all the envelopes, we don't have the larger mail out, and the count would be instant for the ones who voted on
which is
internet. And
beneficial.
would,
But
and
then
would, and
what if
we
our-
would just be counting the day of.
What if our voter count goes down because we haven't sent them ballots?
It may.
The
I
horrors,
can't-
go ahead, Murph.
I can't be sure about that, yeah.
I read this very carefully,
Mhm.
and I'm sure she didn't go back to the days where you could appoint someone to vote for you,
Proxy.
proxy
Yeah,
vote.
yeah.
I mean, we don't want to get into that.
You can still do that, that's still available, but you would have to come out the day of, and, yeah, you'd have to fill out your form and, yeah.
You couldn't have forms filled out by someone, and they come in with 10 forms and I'm voting for them.
No, you can only do it for one person.
That's more for like an AGM
No, that's what we had,
situation.
that's what we had prior to amalgamation.
No,
Oh, really?
You
Oh,
can,
God, yes,
you can do it, but only for one person.
Sandra's going,
You
the
can
good
only-
old days.
You can only
When
vote
you
for one
still use
person.
the overhead projector and you
Yes,
know it.
yes. Only
What?
one person. You
What?
you cannot come to me with 10 proxies as
Yeah,
clerk.
yeah, well,
And it has to be signed by the clerk, no one else.
that's what was happening.
You can have one.
The candidate was getting these
Mm.
forms all filled out by the cottagers, because the cottagers wouldn't be here on election day, and they'd come in with a handful of votes for themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we're not doing that. So,
Well, we are doing that.
Let's talk-
We are doing vote by
But
proxy.
this
Yes,
way,
but-
Yes.
this way the cottagers get the
They
vote.
don't need it because they have vote by mail.
Yeah,
It would be
right.
very rare instance where
Yeah.
someone would come to me with a proxy. It's rare.
Yeah.
In this day and age, it's rare.
all right, but it's done at AGMs. So when Merv said that,
Yeah, yeah.
I think of AGMs.
No, yeah, no.
All right. Let's talk about money. So it's about
Mhm.
30 grand to run an election.
Yeah.
With the mail-in and in person.
Mhm.
And now we're talking an additional, you think 15 for the tabulator.
Yes, if we wanted to add a tabulator in to have a faster count, and as I said, they are known to be more accurate. Although I have not had an issue with accuracy in the past, but I can understand how they're more accurate, like you're feeding it in and yeah,
And it's fast.
it's fast, so the count would be faster.
Do we care? If the count's faster?
The polls close at 8, we were done by 10 last year.
I was gonna say at least at 10 o'clock
So,
would be better.
the polls close at 8 with a tabulator, maybe we'd be
Do
done
you
by,
guys want a
maybe
tabulator?
maybe we'd be done by 9. I have no, it doesn't bother me to have the poll clerks counting and for it to be.
Sandra,
It's 1 extra hour.
you don't care?
No, I don't like the cost of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
$15,000?
I know, well, this is,
Backup?
I'm with Sandra,
I know.
I mean, I guess
unless
it's
I'm convinced
because of
otherwise.
the size of our
If,
township.
but if,
doesn't
if
make
our,
sense.
if our staff was saying
Yeah.
it's onerous, you know, the recount is onerous. No, we want this, then I think we find it in our budget, but we have to make a decision about this before budget. So if our staff are saying, no, it's not a big deal, then let's just go with Annette's recommendation at the top of her report, wherever it went.
And I haven't heard any issues. I haven't heard any issues with our counters. You know, like I like that we're employing local people as opposed to renting a $15,000 machine from Toronto. I like that.
Yeah,
And our local people, like, geez.
wait a minute, we're renting it?
Oh, yes, we don't own it.
Wait a minute, hey. Question from the audience. We're renting it for 1 day for $15,000.
Well, I think you get it for more than a day.
All right, so you
They're-
get it for 3 weeks.
Okay, they're $135,000 to purchase. I don't think we're.
Okay.
We're too small for that.
Okay, that, I did, sorry.
Mhm.
Okay, no. No,
Okay,
no.
okay, yeah.
I will buy you some Band-Aids for the paper cuts, but no,
And-
that's ridiculous.
And if the public was, if I had heard concerns about accuracy or anything else, I certainly, you know, want to support everybody coming out and everybody feeling, I want trust and confidence in the election. That's the
Absolutely.
most important thing. So whatever cost that is, that doesn't bother me. But if we have no confidence or trust issues in the election, which as far as I know, we don't. I mean, we even sat here and had 3 candidates in the room while we did a recount with a lawyer with our, so I mean, geez, it was pretty. I don't know how many, I mean, I don't know how many scrutineers watching everybody counting, like I don't have any question about how accurate our poll clerks were. I really don't.
I'm. You wanna talk about sticker shock? Now I have sticker shock.
That whole scenario of $15,000 per election rental
Mhm.
is so ludicrous that I bet you're gonna be forced to do it in 2 elections from now.
John,
You'll have some reason.
don't put that out there in the atmosphere.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, that, yeah, I think we just go with your,
We're just gonna.
with the executive summary recommendation at the
Okay,
very
so-
beginning of
So
your
we're gonna do
report.
vote, we're gonna do vote by mail,
Definitely.
we're gonna do manual count, and we're going, so the only alternative voting then that council is or committee is recommending is the vote by mail, which is an alternative voting method, so that will have to be passed by bylaw, and there'll have to be dates and those types of things in it. And then we'll have the paper ballots on the day of, which we don't, that's,
Yeah,
You want a horror, just off the track, want a horror story? In 2011 provincial election, I was a poll supervisor from Madawaska at the Golden Knights.
well,
yeah.
Yes,
all right,
and the
So-
delays was all in county.
Okay. So I will just quickly have a look at Sarah's and Erica's.
the only thing is the parade on Friday sounds like we're very organized.
Yes, for sure.
Even if there's snow.
Yep.
It is supposed to be quite cold and snowy.
It is 7:30, not 7 o'clock.
It's at 7:30, but we're meeting at EDPS at 6:30.
Okay,
So Brent is putting in a float, I'm putting my truck in, and you're gonna put your 63
Dodge.
Dodge in.
Yes.
Okay, so we have enough room for everybody, including Brent's kids. You've got your scarf. We'll still wear our team scarves, but I think we drive instead of walking. Yeah, it's minus 11 at night. So it's gonna be a little cold, little
And
freezing.
you never know what's going, it could be drizzle rain or something.
I know, you're right, I know, but that's my plan right now. I bought a bow for the front of my truck and I bought battery powered lights, so if you want
Where'd you get the bowl?
Amazon.
Oh.
I haven't opened it up yet, but I will, and I'll get Dave to put the lights on my truck.
If you're going by Giant Tiger or the dollar stores, they often have kind of cheap
Yeah.
big things you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop into the dollar store.
I looked at
Maybe
one,
not.
but they were only like this big.
Not big enough, yeah.
I should have asked Gerald. He got one for his Corvette the year we had the parade from Melissa Bishop, and it was huge.
Gerald.
I loved, so we did have an E EACDG meeting, about the rubber ducky. Nope, she is right, okay. It was the Easter egg hunt, okay, and she has a plan so that people don't start the Easter egg hunt early.
Right,
So, right?
Yeah,
That we're
so-
gonna be at the Geo Trail.
yes,
And-
that's what we did the time before and it worked really well.
Right.
So I think we'll do that again. And April 5th is the day she's proposing. we're all good with that date? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time is
Um,
that, Annette?
I'm really excited about the career fair.
Mhm.
And the rubber ducky race, I will give more information on, but we think that we've sourced weighted 3-inch rubber duckies
Mhm.
for a fundraiser for E EACDG next year. Because we do, along with hopefully Rotary and the township, want to buy the play apparatus for Legion Field.
And usually 1 o'clock, Tracy, one Easter egg hunt, yeah, usually, yeah.
Yeah, that got a bit crazy last year, because we couldn't hold all the kids back at McCray.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's only so much you can do, and I was trying to stop them, but then they look at you like,
Mhm.
but they're doing it, so,
Talk about
Yeah.
mission impossible.
no kidding.
Yeah.
You don't wanna get between kids and chocolate,
Mhm.
no.
I
Okay,
think that is, that's everything, and I mean, Erica's report there, so we did submit the compliance report to Emergency Management Ontario after our exercise, so that's perfect, and of course, our new alternate, Dylan Hawley was at the exercise, so we got to meet him then there as well, and I think that's all.
What a nice lad,
Yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to highlight, so that's good.
great. Let's take 5 and then we'll get into correspondence. Everyone's okay with that?
All right, we're back on.
Awesome. Welcome back, everyone. All right. Correspondence A, did anybody have anything?
No.
Excellent news about our OPP costing,
Yes.
and everybody noted the lovely thank you from Enbridge. That was a really nice event. Under correspondence B.
Well, I did have a comment. May I make a comment?
Sure.
Just under the Municipal Accountability Act, and they're looking for comments from Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Just when I'm looking at the last section where they're talking about if there's a complaint that is especially egregious, so it's investigated by the Integrity Commissioner. I guess a reprimand is supported, and then it comes to council. Council has to unanimously support it, so it can't be, you know.
But first it goes to the
3-2.
provincial integrity.
Then I
Commission.
think council would probably have to support it first. 'Cause I think
Oh,
if council doesn't support it, why are you sending it to the provincial one first?
that's not the way I read it.
No, I think you're right. It does say Ontario, it does say integrity, then Ontario, then it would come to council.
Yeah, that's the way I read it.
I feel like, why would you send it to the province if council's not gonna support the recommendation?
I don't know, but
But
that's,
I
that's
agree
the
with
way-
you. That is the way I,
Okay, but I
that is
will
the way
find,
it's written.
I will find out on Friday, because it's going to the Roma
Okay,
board.
so if it was supported by the Integrity Commissioner, if it was supported by the Ontario Commissioner, then if it was supported unanimously by council, what the proposal is that the elected person could potentially, could lose their seat then, which
Yes,
is not available at this moment, right? It's either, a 90-day suspension of salary, or it's a reprimand. That's not an option at this point, unless it's a conflict of interest, which goes to court, and that's a different matter. This is court. So, I guess my issue my comment that I would make back, if the committee would like me to make that comment, the comment that I would make back to the ministry is, okay, I think you've put enough blocks in that, because I never want to see somebody who's been elected by the public lose their seat because they've been put there by the public. So the public has a right for that person to represent them. But if they've behaved so egregiously that two integrity commissioners, the provincial and the local one, and the all of council agreed, then I think the only caveat that I put to that is, if that person was removed from their seat, I would like to see a by-election as opposed to an appointment, because if a seat is declared vacant during the year, if it's declared vacant fairly early on, there are rules where you have to hold a by-election. But for instance, if one of
I
our
don't think
seats,
so.
if it's early,
No, I think you always have the
you always have
opportunity.
the opportunity to appoint.
So the options are appoint or a by-election.
Yes,
And by-elections are expensive.
by-elections are expensive.
But the road you're going down, in this case, I
Mhm.
think a by-election is a necessity.
Well, my concern is, and it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, is sometimes you can get, multiple people on a council. So if the report was against one council member, and that council member, of course, has to declare, so they can't vote. So a unanimous vote of council would be everybody else. And if there was collusion, again, it's rare, it's very rare for four people to collude. Like 2, yes, 4 is rare, but it could happen in an instance where now the person would still have to behave egregiously, the person would still have to go through two integrity commissioners, so, I mean, but.
But all the defendant has to do is convince one other counselor to dig in his heels.
That, yes, so my concern is then council, the same council that removed that individual from their seat can appoint somebody. So like, that's where I kind of go, should they then be, if that should happen, if all of those checks and balances happened, should it not have to be filled by a by-election by the people, as opposed to the body, the council, the body that removed that person? I feel like perhaps should not be the same body to reappoint that position. So if your, not that this would happen, but if your best friend was running for council with you and your best friend didn't get in, And I don't know what happened between you and that person, but it went the way it went, and now you're saying, well, let's just appoint this person, you know?
Yeah.
Again,
One of the firmer candidates, perhaps,
it could be one of the four, it could be anybody.
or anybody.
It could be
okay.
anybody.
Yeah.
So I just, that's the only, I look at it and I think, yes, if you have really behaved badly, then I agree. I think I think there should be the option to have someone removed, because I think sometimes we're getting people that are, it's not going well, and it's actually inefficient. Now council's meetings are all about this individual's fight with this individual, and it's not productive to the corporation as a whole. But, but then I have a concern that body is now able to appoint. So the only comment I would make back to the ministry is if you go through with this, if this gets approved, I would like to see the seat replaced, even though it's expensive to the municipality, by election as opposed to appointment. I would like to see that added on.
I am also going to make the comment on Friday that I disagree with the 4-year.
Oh,
I
yes,
think
because then you can't run for 4 years.
It's 4 years doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
If you get kicked off now, midway through your term, you should be able to run again in 2026. You're probably not gonna win, because by that time it's public and everything else. But I don't think it should bar you from running again. It should take your current seat away.
Mhm. And you couldn't run again in the by-election, like you.
Oh, yeah.
Once you've been removed, you have to wait
Until the following
until the
term.
following term to run. But,
Yeah.
but that's my only thought is, do we want the same body? Because it's council that makes the decision, whether or not that person, regardless, if both integrity commissioners recommend that person be removed, if council doesn't unanimously support it, they get to stay.
It doesn't happen.
So this is the body that removes it. Should the body that removes it be the body to appoint it? That's my
Yeah.
only
with that.
concern.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna speak to that and the 4 years
at Roma?
at
Okay,
Roma.
then I'll leave it. That was the only comment.
No, you submit yours. Submit it anyway.
Okay,
Yeah, because the conversation I had with the chair of Roma was that one of the policy people from AMO had been talking about it. And I mean, the other good thing in this proposal is that our code of conduct will be standardized across the province. And I think that's really important, right?
Mhm.
Like right now, everybody's, not everybody, because, some people borrowed from other municipalities, but pretty much they're all a bit different. And they really should be standard, in my opinion.
The code of conduct should serve to lessen the number of times we have to go to the integrity commission.
yes.
Well, if you can't behave correctly, maybe just don't run for council.
They had a local government.
Like if you don't know how to behave yourself and how to conduct yourself with other human beings, don't run.
Tracy is saying, go to parliament where you belong.
Oh, too soon, John, too soon.
Okay, let's get back to work.
It's only been 30 hours. So yeah.
That was
so,
my only comment. I
no,
just
no.
wanted to
That's good.
put forward, and if the committee supported that, then I
Yeah,
can make that comment.
makes sense.
through the-
I think we should support the County of Renfrew letter to Minister Sakaria as well.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes,
Sorry, I meant to say that. I was letting other council.
so we're going to support 1 and 4.
Yes. All right, before we get into council proposals, let's just talk about this ask from Laurel Cook about painting our municipal door here, this one.
Yeah.
Be funny to do both of them, but anyway. I am totally in. My only thing is, as I say over and over and over again, it's going to be a very, very, very tough budget. So I know it's only $500. However, I would like to say, yes, in principle, but we are gonna have to wait until our budget, unless you guys just wanna say yes.
It's not gonna paint it this time of year anyway.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
I'd be willing to contribute to that project personally, but that shouldn't be a
That's-
council issue, right?
But, so that's sort of the road I was going down, where could we get sponsorships?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We could try.
I think that this is something we want done.
Yes, definitely. I think there's been, since this started and so many artists have given up their time voluntary to
I
do this
know.
project.
Yes, I'm
I would love
100%
to,
in favor.
I would love to support it if there was a way, if there was any slush fund, the money that we haven't spent.
Don't ever say slush.
I know.
Again, you know.
I know there's
You know-
not,
You know that hurts my soul.
sorry. I don't know if there's anything in community development that hasn't been, but we won't know because
It's the 2025 budget.
exactly.
And we don't even, I mean. Our office staff have really held the purse strings.
I know. you can
Because
tell.
traditionally, some, department heads go spending crazy in November, but I guess they. That was so good,
Well,
Sandra.
there's some.
Yeah, I know. So I just,
She just wants
But-
the commitment to know to get the paint and get the
Okay,
design going.
okay, so. Here was my idea, but okay, I would like to say yes. If we have the money, then we ever do this door,
Mhm.
and then we donate to do that door. But if we don't have the $500, then we donate to do this door. Thoughts?
I'm happy to make a donation. I support the idea of trying to do both doors.
Cause I really want both doors done.
What about the garage doors?
Fire can pay for those, let them budget for it.
That would be quite a statement.
Get Daryl in here, we'll tell him he has to budget for it.
I will just say that just because Brent's not here, but he did send a comment forward that he does think that it should be sponsored. Or maybe a co-sponsor, as opposed to a full, so.
That's, that's
Yeah.
where we're going,
Yeah.
yeah.
Could that part of the thought or that part of the process be handed over to E EACDG, for instance? Or could we do that
Or
as a
Rotary?
council, run an appeal for money?
Be Rotary too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
busy location, like I can't speak for Rotary, I'm not part of Rotary, but it's a busy, for example, just as one.
Yeah,
Organization in the community. It's an appeal, if it could be done, in a unique way to bring awareness to who the sponsor is, right? That when you come in, it's like, oh, I didn't know, if it's Rotary, I didn't know they did that, or remember, right?
I envision a well-intentioned group of citizens forming a committee, and it'll be called Adorable. And they
There you
raise
go.
money to paint doors all over the township, from Sebastopol right through to Ruby Road.
That's kind of what Laurel's,
That's
the
it,
team at
Bush.
BB
Yeah.
Inspired are doing.
Well,
Yeah,
Wanna inspired, yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay.
We look at where we are now, where we were, right?
So we're saying yes,
Yeah.
how it's funded will come
Figure it
later.
out.
All right, fine, I'm fine with that. Yes,
So,
good.
okay, so we're saying yes, but if she's gonna go out and paint and purchase paints and stuff like that.
well, certainly she's not doing that now. In the winter,
I think
No,
her
I think-
urgency is the design. She can't buy paints until she knows the design,
right,
right? So the urgency is the design right now. It's our commitment.
Okay, but we're committing then to the $500.
one way or another, we'll come up with
Yeah.
$500.
Okay.
Cause it would be nice to have the township office involved in what businesses are doing,
Okay, so yes.
Makes good sense.
right?
The answer is yes, and we're gonna try and get some of it sponsored.
Yes,
But if it's not we're gonna try and get sponsored before March, before budget comes, and then if whatever is left over that we didn't get sponsored, that will add to the budget for March.
exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm thinking, do you know about VTAC? No. It's an image. Advertising.
I'm
It's,
just laughing, thinking what would go on their door.
Yeah.
However,
all right,
I agree.
council proposals, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
You go.
So, I just, projects, two things. I think it'd be nice to do some tree planting. And we've thought about that and talked about it at the Horticultural Society. And there's some interest there because they're not flowers, but they're good. And there's interest at the Ontario Woodlot Association, Renfrew County branch. And anyway, but I was thinking not just kind of planting trees along the street or line, but again, Legion Field speaks to me, and you could have a little corner of it. When my kids were in Rockwood School years ago, some teachers got together and they called it a swamp, but it was a little wild area in the corner of it, and they had benches and things for that. So that sort of idea where you'd have some trees and shrubs and maybe some benches and tables, and it would be a corner of maybe of the field, and it would be a wild space, a green space.
So Legion Field has been brought up prior.
Yeah.
Because people need shade,
Yes,
because it's like standing on the sun at Legion Field.
Yeah.
And I believe right now Sarah has a grant in for trees.
We looked into a grant for trees. I don't know if we put one in or if it went through, the senior center.
Oh, okay, there's a grant in
Yeah.
for trees.
yeah,
So if we get that grant, then that's a very interesting proposal.
okay,
In Brent's list, he has actually fruit trees on his list.
That's the one I think through the
Okay.
senior center.
Okay, so I think we're all in agreement, trees, Legion Field.
yeah.
All right, what's your next one?
Okay, the other one was going from this idea, we talked a little bit about, at the waste management site, wherever, one of our waste management sites, putting a sea can or a shelter and having basically a swap shop, like the library has a little thing, put a book in, take a book home.
Yep.
And
Okay,
and
penny, leave a penny.
I know we're down that road a bit, but Lynn and I have thought of other ways that there's other things that people need besides. I mean, anything can be saved from the dump, which is good for us. But there's other things people need now, like clothing and strollers and things like that. Some things that could be recycled
Repurpose.
and help people specifically who really have greater needs than me.
Okay,
So again, I think about that, and the idea of it wouldn't need a lot of policing. We don't want it to become a trashy thing, but it needs to, stuff goes in. People can take whatever they want out of it, that they feel they need, and maybe as we talked about with Jason, there's a timeline, and after a couple of months it goes in the landfill because obviously nobody's looking for it.
okay,
So-
so an item bank.
And it would be promoted with a little bit of advertising and public presence, so people know, and it's like the food bank. If you need a half sheet of plywood and it's there, we're not gonna ask who you are or what your income is, you go take it, and that helps us out and helps you out,
Okay, so hold on to that. Let's see if our C of A gets amended.
okay?
Because of course we can't do anything until our C of A
Yes,
is amended.
okay,
Okay,
that's kind of the two big ones that I
Okay.
thought of, yeah.
Murph.
I think we should have another look at the wall around behind the museum. We have an engineered drawings.
It's on Brent's list too.
And an elevator.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a short brief, we've engineered drawings, we
Yes,
paid the engineers, but we never got the drawings, so I phoned the engineering company and they sent me the drawings. Yellow ink on white paper, you couldn't read the thing.
right.
So anyways, I had a grandson working in an engineering office in Peterborough at the time, and I called him, says, Carol, what can I do? He says, send it. It come back like that, and now I got black on white.
Okay, so the estimate on that wall, I believe, was about $500,000.
I know it's gonna be expensive.
When Dana was doing community development, she did apply for a grant for historical sites. So we can definitely look into that again. Brent's, was to pressure wash the museum retaining wall and repoint with dry grout mortar carge, much like the conversation we had about the EGC building. The engineer that was here did not recommend pressure washing. I believe they hosed it off once and there was,
Probably falls apart.
a lot of,
Yeah.
did you want something, Sandra?
No.
Okay, there was quite a bit of destruction that happened, that it eroded. So they recommended not pressure washing. And I can't remember why they said not to purge it. I think maybe because it's,
Well,
there,
purging, or we have to be careful what we're going to do there, because there are places in between seams that supply water. You
right,
can't cut them off because they'll freeze and the ice will break up, so you
right.
have to have proper drainage. And I don't know how much falls off a year, or how much of the road people pick up, is there anything that falls off?
Yeah,
And then.
there is carnage.
That's kind of.
So before the Beer and Wine Fest, we asked roads to go out literally the day before. Because if there's a soft wind,
Yeah.
rocks do fall off.
Yeah.
We do need to do something about it.
Yeah.
But every time we look at it, it's brutally expensive.
Yeah.
But I will say, it's also kind of cool looking. Like it's.
Yeah,
there's something-
like, there temporary fixes to
That's
some of it, not all of it?
That's what they said, like,
The question is, how much is falling off?
oh, it's not
No,
crumbling
no,
down,
no.
but there are, yeah,
But the other thing that happens is the water from that runs down and creates ice on
you are
the,
correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I
And it
don't know,
gets
one time
stuck
they're
there.
saying that maybe the water from there was also flooding the basement of it, but I don't know whether that's true or not. I know that in the spring, the ice is over the western part of it.
yeah,
But,
okay. Well, certainly that is something to keep as a priority, because we do want to see it fixed eventually.
It's like the water tank at the sewage treatment plant.
I know,
Yeah. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a very large fundraiser over a long time.
yeah,
Right, it's not, you could do it over a year or whatever that might be, I don't know. Just have pocket events that go towards supporting that
yeah,
Is
maybe something for Rotary and the ACB to look at as well.
and the museum,
Is the
And
museum a designated historic site?
Yes,
yeah,
Okay,
it's our
so
only
that-
one. Oh,
it's not.
it's not, it's the bridge that's designated.
It's not a
Sorry.
historic site, the,
I thought it was.
the clock, like the building, the
Oh, yes.
clock
Yeah.
tower is historic, that is considered historic,
Okay.
but not the site itself.
Yeah, there's so much
Okay.
opportunity there at the museum to host other events, other markets and
Yes,
artist events, whatever, but only if it's safe to
Well,
do so.
A forward-thinking project would be to refurbish the wall. Yes, it's gonna cost $1 million, but create indoor space or indoor space around the museum. So now you have a place for markets, for other
Yeah.
things like that. And if you're going to all the trouble of refurbishing that wall and making it safe and sound for another 50 years, why not create? I can just think of other places that have been
Lansdowne, for instance, they have the
Exactly,
little,
yes.
little huts and
So,
buildings,
how
set
about
up,
it has as well?
Yeah.
like, yeah,
and it
Like
doesn't have to
very
be
much it.
totally conditioned space, but what a wonderful place for an open air market or something, or lots of
Yeah.
things.
any
There
options.
are challenges with that though, with snow removal, parking, our accessible parking spot is there as well.
Mhm.
So there's some nuances to having them permanent, maybe if they were semi-permanent.
I think there's wall structures and things you can look at, it's just you.
How do you
coming
get
up
the
with a
plow in?
plan. No, that are part of the wall. Like you could, if you're thinking ahead, because it's Monash Arts and Historical. With mounting for artwork or something, like if you're going in to do this wall, redo
Oh,
this.
by all means.
But there's all
like,
kinds of like,
Make
off
sure-
the ground structures you could include in the wall,
Make sure there are hooks for the fairy lights.
everything,
Like,
Right?
that's what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
You'd be roofed in some way. And so it becomes like a Mercado, like a Spanish open air market. And then so plowing wouldn't be an issue, and you could still have your accessible parking.
or community gardening.
Anyway.
Anything that doesn't need a lot
The
of light.
accessible parking is the most important thing. The rest of it, I mean, if it had to be, if there was some other way of snow
Yeah.
removal, but I think.
So I was thinking like a carport, if you.
Oh,
remember.
I
So-
totally,
So boom, the car goes
yeah.
under it, and that would even be better for people who need accessible parking. Getting in and out, using their their aiding devices. Anyway, I think that's a good.
Okay, so all integrated there,
Do more than just the wall.
be a great place for the farmers market.
It'd be a great project for the community to be involved in and to weigh in.
Yeah,
as to what they want from that space.
But it's gonna take you quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
They're,
Oh,
they're kind of two trains of thought, leave it alone because it costs too much, or do it and do it properly.
yeah, and
You
that's
can't do it half-assed.
dead on correct.
Yeah.
Dead on. That's why when I read pressure washing, I was like, no, we were warned
Yeah.
not to do that.
Yeah.
So, but I think that if you're absolutely correct, Murph, if we're gonna do it right.
Yeah, we'll have to
Right.
do it right. It's only gonna pressure and crumble on you.
Yeah. But if you're saying integrated, it, maybe there are other grants out there that are for, instead of
Like
it,
green space stuff,
instead
I
of-
don't know.
instead of relying on it being historical.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm saying, cause
yeah,
that's sort of the road we were going down,
yeah.
right? Dana and I met at one of the conferences with people from that ministry. And the allowances, even if you got the grant, weren't substantial. They were small, a lot of them, but small grants, more like Trillium Foundation,
Mhm.
so.
You think
So-
of Quebec City, some of those old buildings, you know, you go down the laneways, there's
And
artist markets and all kinds of
it's,
stuff like that.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's quite pretty.
Yeah,
But I recognize that structurally it needs to be repaired.
But
Yeah.
if that wall was done properly, it might not just be a wall, but a foundation, and then you have property facing Victoria Street above. I mean, there's all kinds of neat things when I look at what they do, and these are big projects, the British Museum and other places where they've literally created a whole new building without touching or marring the original wonderful building. I don't know.
Oh, if we had all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Cause it is a beautiful building and having that beer and wine fest, it just proved out that, you know, it's really good usable space.
So not just a wall repair, but an economically self-supporting idea for the future.
Right.
maybe graffiti walls,
I love graffiti walls, but I
Me too.
wouldn't do them on that one,
I don't, it could be anything, really.
not around the
It-
museum.
It could also be walls that support immersive experiences, where you're bringing in light shows and holographs and things like that in the future, not right now, because it's too expensive.
Technology,
Some point it's gotta go down in price, new
exactly.
inventions.
Look at this, the owl.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. Merv, did you have anything else on your
No,
list?
no.
Okay, Tracy.
Okay, so one of the important areas when I was campaigning was to support youth. I started this youth action committee, which died off quickly with lack of volunteers. So having been involved with Rotary, and I brought it to their attention as well, interest in working on a, you know, possibly with the township, working with Sarah on a joint initiative with Rotary and the township on supporting youth. My personal interest is teens, because I think there's a gap in what's available. I mean, they have sports, but I think that in helping them prep for, you know, after school, what's next? So what is their, what career do they choose and that sort of stuff, and learning through Rotary. Rotary International offers a $30,000 scholarship for their master's programs, like global program.
It's amazing.
Like, there's a lot of things I think that can be leveraged with Rotary and in terms of supporting youth. So that's one area that I'd like to work on and come up with a collaborative project with our township and Rotary. And then getting in more to the high schools, like having somewhat of like a speed dating event where they can meet up with different professionals to learn in, you know, 5 minutes. What do you do? What does John Epps do for a living? You know, or how did you get your start, Jen? You know what I mean? Like, just more than what the schools are giving them right now.
Absolutely.
So that's
Because we know that a lot of programs like that aren't there anymore. The
no,
way they
they're not.
were when we were growing.
There's too many kids and there's not enough counselors, right?
Agreed.
So. The second one, then these are two projects that I've already spoken to Rotary about, spay and neuter clinic. And I also visited the SPCA and had a look at their facilities and just to learn more about what their daily intake is like and the pets there. And they weren't that busy, which surprised me because I do a lot of animal rescue and I'm here because there's such a crisis right now with pet ownership affording them and people abandoning them, the amount of pets being euthanized, you know, post-COVID. It's terrible.
No. So I asked you this, so I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
Annette. Are we not on the list? Didn't we get bumped because they did it in Pembroke, but are we still on the list?
No, I asked.
Oh, we're not on the list?
No, they quoted me a fee of $2,500 a day for a clinic.
Oh,
Yeah, no, we were, if they do, I think they only do one, maybe two, where they go
Yeah.
around the county. And so, they were gonna come here, but, we got.
I think they
They
probably go
felt
to
Harvard
larger,
had more issues, that animals that need to be spayed and neutered that were sort of wandering around, and so, they moved it to there. They felt that was the more, critical center in the
Yeah.
county, but I can certainly reach out to them again, and cause I did say to them, well, we are interested, so I said, leave us, like, don't forget about us.
We're also the center of the county geographically.
Yeah, but I can.
I did ask, I got a quote, so here nor there, but I think it would be a huge help, economic relief for people to be able to keep their pets because of vet fees, and you know, Brockville has a clinic, but it's a hike to get to Brockville to take your
Yes.
pet and then be there all day waiting for them.
So would be like a food bank of free, no questions asked service for people to take it
You
out.
still have to pay, but it's a significantly reduced
Okay.
fee, or people could pay part, whatever the fundraising plan would be, like.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's a collaboration with our township, we're a fundraiser as well, maybe the Legion, Rotary, because we could do maybe a dinner, like this one was spaghetti dinner, hold the balls. One idea.
Oh,
You know, there's lots of interesting things you can do.
I don't want to rain on your parade, but obviously I spent quite a bit of time in Eganville these days. And over the last couple of years, I've seen one stray dog and one stray cat.
No, there's a huge issue with cats right now, and if you
There
talk
is.
to Lisa, who's heads up Whiskers and Alley Cats, there's so many colonies of cats right now in the cold. There is a great need, but these are stray cats. So you need to have somebody, you know, bring these cats in, and they can't just send them out back in the wild.
Somehow I now have a cat. I wondered why our mouse population had gone down in the farm.
On
What?
the wall, just look on the wall. Anyway,
Oh, what is
I
that?
don't
I
know.
don't
it
know,
looked
but
like a
he
tick
was
to
over
me.
here and I didn't mind.
Well, then come get him.
It's a beetle. I'll take him outside. Just give me a second.
So yeah, I think it's because there is a crisis right
Thank
now
God.
with paying for animals and being able to keep and afford your animal. So it's,
Well, having just had a puppy spayed, yes.
you know how much it
Yeah.
is. So that was an interesting project too. So those are two I'd like to flesh out more and work on.
Great. So Brent sent me quite a comprehensive list. A lot of them are budgetary. But I think worth discussing when we get to budget, but I told Brent I'd let him speak to those. There is,
Cece?
Step on, 'em, solve the problem.
no,
Oh, no, he's gonna go to it.
Stick him in a plant.
thanks, John. This township meeting brought to you by the Beetle Preservation Society. We're good people here in Bonnechere Valley. Okay. But Brent had some great ideas. He reviewed boat launches, signage, digital mapping. He clean up and replant the trees along Water Street, so we're back to trees. He wants to review additional roads to be tendered with Bonnechere Street, i.e. Mill Street, which we spoke about before. There also, Spring Creek Road needs to be redone, and so when the county is doing 512, is there an opportunity to join in with them? Again, he talked about fruit trees for Mount Park and Legion Field. We would have to find fruit trees that would bear fruit every year, because I know my plum tree only blooms about once every 4 years, which is
Yeah,
kind of a letdown.
you have to buy them super large.
Yeah, and then, and the other thing is, you know, for our climates, we want to make sure if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna make the investment, let's invest in good ones. He did talk about prioritizing additional calcium on some of our rural roads. I know that this is sort of a controversial thing, because some people feel that the calcium hurts the underside of their car. Other people really like the calcium because of course it keeps,
And you can't put calcium on gravel roads.
no, but it keeps the dust down. So anyway, so he had some really good ideas, but I'm gonna go to the end because there were a few things that we talked about at the tree lighting. Add the lighting to EGC, which Jack did do 1 year. I don't know where the lights went. But we should get him to do that again. And lighting around the tourist booth parking lot as opposed to the bridge. I'm not sure that we want to encourage people to walk across the bridge in the winter. It gets quite slippery and then we shut it down. Yeah, he had a lot, he can speak to some of these, but again, a lot of them are budget items that will like review costs of new safety program for transportation fleet, which we've spoken about with regards to fire trucks. It'll affect all apparatus. So, but he does, it's very comprehensive, but I think at budget, we're gonna have to talk about, you know, where we're spending our money and what services we're willing to live with. So that's his. So my wish list for 2025. So again, we're gonna have a very difficult budget workshop. It's gonna be service levels and understanding fiscal restraints in all sectors, and we're hearing this across the board. We're seeing it with the increase in use of our food bank, our clothing bank, etc. I want to continue and have a 2025 youth summit. Out of the 2024 youth summit, I want to introduce a youth council, which would include kids from both schools.
Are you talking, so not high school, right?
No.
Public, okay, public separate.
Yeah.